Good morning, traders. Welcome back to today's Outlier Live, where we're going to be covering the top stories of the day. First story of the day, the price of Tesla just soared by over 7% in a single day and up over 11% in the last 3 days. Our second story of the day is going to be NVIDIA partnering with Google. What does that mean for you? And lastly, hey, nobody's buying houses, so if you got one for sale, tough luck, no one's going to buy it. We're going to be covering that and much more on today's Outlier Live. Oh, I don't know about you, but I got my rocket ship strapped to my back when I'm buying some Tesla over the last few days. It's up 11% in the last 3 days and up 7% so far yesterday. And Tesla is just soaring. And let's think about why, right? The Model Y is the most popular car in America. We still have the government incentives with a $7,500 tax credit, which is going to be running out at the end of the year. And if you're taking advantage of that, you've only got a small window to do so. So it's prompting more people to be buying these cars, not just the Model Y, but Model 3, Model X, Model S, Model Y, all of that. Everybody's buying everything that they can with these vehicles right now. And Tesla, honestly, is now I am a Tesla owner, so I'm a bit partial. But driving my Tesla and then driving my wife's Lexus, it's like driving the future versus driving a dinosaur. It is that different. And I can't really express to you what the experience is like until you do it yourself. One of the greatest experiences is not going to a gas station, right? I plug in my car each night, I unplug it in the morning, and it's done. It's ready to go, right? I'm not worried if I'm going to run out of gas. I'm not worried if I'm going to have any issues with charging, because the charging experience, which is another reason why Tesla's share price is probably up, the charging experience is fantastic. You literally walk up, you grab the charger, you stick it right in your car. You don't even have to pull out your credit card. And it charges at like 1,000 miles an hour. So it's not any worse than having to go pump your gas yourself. Now, at some point, I do think that we're going to be having wider spread adoption of these Tesla superchargers. And what I really realistically think is, now that all these other consumer car production places like Ford, GM, etc., you name it, they're coming across to it. It's the North American Charging Standard. All of them are starting to say, you know what, Tesla's chargers are better than CCS. It's just a fact. And so because of that, we're going to be moving our charging system to that platform. Now, once that does happen, I really believe that what we're going to start seeing is gas stations maybe pulling out 1 or 2 pumps and putting in 1 or 2 pumps of superchargers. And when that happens, man, I got to tell you, the whole Tesla industry, the whole EV market is going to be upended by Tesla. That's why Tesla is such an exciting company to watch, and definitely some of the reasons why the stock is up so far, over 7% today and up over 11% in the last 3 days. And thank you for tuning in, Rudy. Good morning. April, good morning. Glad that y'all are watching live. Also want to take a look at the outlier data. There is a word of warning out there. It does have a sell signal, but this oscillator that the platform uses is definitely starting to curl upward, which means that this sell signal is going to be turning into a buy signal here very, very soon. So keep a watch on that over on the outlier data. And if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Ewell, and I love talking about stocks and finding those outsized trades with outlier returns. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And let's go to our second story of the day. Oh, NVIDIA stock closes at a record price after the Google and AI partnership. NVIDIA shares jumped by over 4% on Tuesday when they announced their partnership with Google, and its technology is going to be sold through Google's cloud. Now, if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Ewell, and I love talking about stocks and finding those outlier trades with outsized returns. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. Today's episode is sponsored by Outlier.com. Go to OVTLYR.com to find out why outliers win. Now, back to the story here. NVIDIA is up over 4% yesterday because they are expanding distribution of its artificial intelligence technology by partnering with Google. Now, the stock has been up over 234% for the year, and it is the best performer in the S&P 500. George, good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in live, and I appreciate you mentioning that Larry Hyatt was one of the most influential people in my life, and having the opportunity to work with him was beyond a blessing. The record close comes a week after the company said its quarterly revenue doubled from a year earlier. And that comes on even better than expected earnings. So everything is going NVIDIA's way, right? We are jumping up higher and higher and higher with NVIDIA. NVIDIA's business is booming because its graphics processing units, or GPUs, which I have on my computer right now that I'm using to speak to you on right now, they're being gobbled up by cloud companies, government agencies, and startups to train and deploy generative AI models like the technology underpinning OpenAI's ChatGPT. And since we were talking about Tesla just a minute ago, I know that Tesla also uses some, not all, NVIDIA GPU chips inside of its cars as well. So it is growing and growing and growing, this whole industry here, this AI industry, and the stocks that support it. But does it make sense, right? Where do we go from here? And let's take a look at the outlier data for NVIDIA. You can see here, it's got a sell signal, but also just like on Tesla, we've had this downside indicator active. And when the downside indicator goes red, basically all stocks out in the marketplace are put on a sell alert. It's not a sell and go short, it's a sell and hold cash type of alert. And what we see here is that the oscillator, the blue line, is starting to point back up. So once this downside indicator clears, I would not be too surprised to see another buy signal come in NVIDIA. Now let's take a look at what the Twitter sphere is saying about this, right? As expected, Google is an AI juggernaut. And let's keep going here. There's also some other collaborations with Google and other companies. Let's go. As long as Taiwan doesn't get attacked, everything is great. And I got to tell you right now, there's so many geopolitical issues out there that having a little bit of concern about Taiwan is not out of the question these days. And let me know if you feel that NVIDIA is a buy right now. Let me know how you feel about NVIDIA stock down in the comments, and be sure to smash the like button. That way it lets Google know that you like this kind of content. So let's go to our final story of the day after I push the right button. Just 1% of homes changed hands so far this year. So if you have a house for sale, good freaking luck. That's not looking like a good place to be if you are a home seller right now. And it makes total sense. And I gotta tell you a secret here. Jerome Powell wanted this to happen. I'm sorry, it's the truth. Jerome Powell really wanted to wreck the housing market, and that's exactly what is going on today. Hey, if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Ewell, and I love talking about stocks and finding those outlier trades with outsized returns. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And today's episode is sponsored by Outlier.com. Go to OVTLYR.com to find out why outliers win. Now, this makes total sense if you think of it from a big picture perspective. Rates have gone up from basically 3% to 7%, sometimes even 8% out in the marketplace right now. So that means your cost to finance a home has more than doubled, sometimes close to tripled what it cost a few years ago. And on top of that, home prices, at least in this article, which I think is understating the fact, home prices have gone up by over 40%. According to this article, I think it could be closer to 100, maybe 150% out there. Yeah, it says right here. Just 1% of all homes changed hands in the first half of this year, the lowest in a decade, according to data from Redfin. Only about 14 in every 1,000 homes moved hands this last year. And a more active market would be closer to 40 or 50. So we're looking at a pullback of basically 3.5 times, so 300% less, if you want to think of it that way, number of homes that are being sold and changing hands than we were just a few years ago. This is a problem, but it's what Jerome Powell wanted. The main reason so few houses have sold is that people can't afford the higher mortgage rates. This makes total sense, right? Now, why are we looking to raise rates? I talk about this at least once a week. Why did Jerome Powell raise rates? By raising rates, it's making assets less affordable. This is fact, right? If I needed a $1,000 a month mortgage, and now that mortgage costs me $1,500 a month, I can't afford that mortgage. So therefore, I'm not buying a new home. Now, how does the market fix this? Because that's, in a nutshell, what Jerome Powell is trying to do, is get the market to fix this. By raising rates, I can't afford that mortgage with the price as it is, so I'm going to have to lower the price to find buyers at that lower price. But that's not what we've seen. Prices have gone up. Interest rates have gone up. There's going to be a rebound point. I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know when or where, what's going to cause that, but homeowners are hunkering down and with their ultra low rates of 2, 3, or 4%, and they are put off about becoming a buyer with rates at 6 or 7%, right? The refinance incentive is gone. The moving incentive is gone. And the quick increase in mortgage rates has created an uphill battle for many Americans who want to buy a home, but they're locked up by low inventory, making the homes that do hit the market too expensive, right? There's not that many homes out there because the people who are in the homes, they don't want to sell. They don't want to have to go and finance a new home at 2.5 to 3 times higher. And it makes total sense, right? What people want are these move-in ready, mid-sized homes in neighborhoods with highly rated schools. Those are the hardest to find because for people to buy one, someone needs to sell one. That's not happening. And because of that, so many home buyers have low mortgage rates. They're not up and moving. And I'm like that. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't blame them. Let's take a look at the outlier data for Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is one of the biggest banks out there and also carries a huge amount of mortgage exposure. And we can see we got a sell signal back on August 22nd for them. And Wells Fargo is definitely one to keep an eye on. I think if we start to see some issues in the mortgage space, this could be one that could be the canary in the coal mine, if you want to think of it. Because they do have such a large mortgage portfolio, they even started pulling back on some of their mortgage exposure earlier this year. And I think the reason being is that they're seeing the writing on the wall. Less people are taking these mortgages. Mortgages are becoming more and more unaffordable. And because of that, they don't want to be in that business. But they already have a huge amount of exposure there. So this is one to be watching. And an easy way to do that is by watching the outlier data. So that's the biggest stories of the day, right? We've got Tesla, which is rip-roaring higher, and it makes total sense because their cars rock. Now, of course, I'm biased because I'm a Tesla owner. Next, NVIDIA and Google, they're both ripping higher because of their AI partnership. And lastly, the only thing that's not ripping higher are home sales. Home prices are still ripping higher, but home sales, they are not. And because of that, the whole market is potentially on the verge of some issues. So do me a favor, hit the like button down below to let the algorithms know that you like this kind of content. We're here every day for you, bringing you the latest news and stock analysis to help you make better choices. And if you're ready to trade smarter, not harder, go to ovtlyr.com to find out why outliers win. Thank you so much for coming to today's episode, and I'll see you next time.